What is up? I hope you can hear me. I hope the audio is okay. My first live stream. What is up? If you are watching, I'm gonna be doing some live breakdowns. I'm gonna be doing commentary, and hopefully you can find some benefit from it. I'm gonna be just kind of ranting about the latest jiu-jitsu competition that we had at 10th Planet Covina. And I don't know, I'm just gonna have fun with it. I just kind of want to talk and get comfortable streaming. This is my first live stream, so bear with me. Yeah, I kind of just want to go over some matches, kind of just give my opinion on different positions and scenarios, and just have a good time talking about jiu-jitsu. If you have any questions, feel free to comment and chat with me. And that's pretty much it. Let's get started. So let me pull up our video. First thing, let's change this to, let's play our video first. And here we go. Screen share. Boom. All right, let me know how it goes. I think I'll turn the audio up a little bit. Let me know if the audio is weird. Pretty much no audio from the video. One sec. Oh, you know what? I need my headphones. Oh. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry if I blasted your ears. Alright, here we go. First match. And I'm just going to run down all the matches that I have. I think there's like 15 matches roughly. I'm going to do some basic commentary. I'm not going to do any breakdown just yet. I'm just going to do commentary of the whole match. And then after the match, I'm going to do some breakdown, some evaluation. I'll start with... if you're in this match and you're watching your match, try not to be offended if I give you some critique, or if I'm not trying to offend anyone. I just want to give you guys some good information on how you can improve your jiu-jitsu. So here we go. I'm going to watch it in entirety, no stopping, and just going to practice some commentary. Here we have Gilbert Mojado versus Mauricio Menjivar. And as you can see, we are doing a 1Z tournament. This means you must compete in a 1Z. That is one of the rules. These guys are all white belts. They've been training for a decent amount of time. And I wanted to give them some opportunity to show their skills. So right away, Gilbert takes the top position but gets reversed immediately. Mauricio right away bites down on a front headlock, and he is sliding into the mount position. He's freeing his knee from the lockdown. And look at this. We're in the butter mount and the full mount. Gilbert is got his hands in a decent position. But Mauricio's got this figure four grip on his head. I believe Gilbert recovered his leg again, but once again he got passed. Mauricio got his knee to 3/4 mount and sinks this figure four grip even deeper. And he's starting to threaten with a Ezekiel choke, which forces Gilbert to bring his hands up to stop the choke. Mauricio still in the mount. And boom. Gilbert recovers a lockdown, but right away gets passed again. And once again, another lockdown recovery. Mauricio using the no-hand pass. The shin on the inside thigh. He posts frames on the hip to try and get his leg out even more, but Gilbert's got a good bite on that leg now. Gilbert mini stomp to the full guard. And he's got him in his full guard. Gilbert has a pretty good rubber guard. That's probably the strongest point. Breaks the posture with double under grips. And Mauricio has kind of lost his base. He could have gotten his back taken, but recovered, disengaged. And very good. Good transitions. Mauricio chooses to sit. Gilbert goes for the whip pass, the leg toss, twister pass. But Mauricio is doing a good job of keeping his legs squared up, and he finds his lockdown. No hand pass attempt. Gilbert gets reversed. And I made a rule that you were not allowed to grab the clothing. Oh man, Mauricio sinks in a ninja choke variation and finishes. That's a really interesting finishing position. I've only seen that done a couple times like that. And there you see me with the GoPro on my head and my badass onesie, and Mauricio wins. Let's look at that finish again. A little instant replay. Where does it start? So, Mauricio rolls Gilbert over. He gets on top and is in a half guard. He's getting his knee free. And right about here, Mauricio shoots his right arm underneath. Locks his figure four right there and drops to his hip. Gets free of the leg, sprawls. He's in side control, and he's just got a nasty bite on the head, and Gilbert can't get out. That is a really interesting move that I've never done. I've never experimented with that submission before. I think I've seen like one YouTube video of someone doing it like that. It's like a Japanese necktie with no arms in. And instead of a gable, he's using a figure four grip, which is really unique. And I like that one a lot. I'm going to give that a try. Adjust my camera here a bit. All right. Main points, real quick. I'm going to pull up my Epic pen. I did not set this up before. My apologies. Shift C is the command. And then Shift F is to go back. Oh wait, Shift C, eraser, undo is Shift E. Okay, got it. Okay, I should be better at this now. Shift F. So the main points from Gilbert's match. Gilbert took top position multiple times, like right away. At the beginning of the match, Mauricio sat right here, and Gilbert passed. Gilbert had some really great passing. Boom. Passed the guard with a little twister pass. But right about here, Mauricio's got this grip on the leg. Let's get less blurry. Mauricio's got this hook on the leg right here, and that grip on the leg is kind of annoying. It's stopping Gilbert from sprawling, and then Mauricio also reaches up. He reaches over the head, which normally, you know, at a high level, both of these things are kind of not in your best interest. I would not advise somebody to do this move. However, Gilbert did not have his base. He should have been sprawling harder on this leg. His arm, he should have been lower on the hips. Notice Gilbert's chest is very high up. It's almost off the mat. Where if Gilbert had his chest lower, more in the belly region, I think he would have been able to control this hip bump a little bit better. So as you can see, he gets rolled over right here, gets put in dangerous positions. He got put in this first guillotine attempt. And then later on, he ends up recovering. But then from here, he takes top position again. And then same thing. He passes the guard, I believe. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, so he's about to pass the guard, and he just doesn't have base. He has to have that. You need to have that sense of when somebody is going to bust an explosive roll. You have to feel. You have to be able to predict that when you think that they're gonna try and do a upa sweep or basically just a powerful roll. You have to be able to base your hands out. You got to base your legs out, and you got to find your base, your balance, your base, and some strong, long grips on the mat so you don't just get rolled over. He had top position twice. He had two great positions, but ended up losing them because he just lacked base. And that's the reason for the defeat right here. But excellent submission by Mauricio. Really solid submission right here. I definitely got to practice that one. I like that one a lot. Let's move on. Here we have Roberto Gonzalez versus Daniel Villalobos. Daniel pulls guard, but right away gets into a single leg position. Roberto stays in the front headlock and sprawls, but looks to take the back. As he does, Daniel pulls guard and goes back to a single leg as he's getting passed. Again, front headlock position. And definitely onesie outfit of the day award goes to Daniel. He has this crazy alien outfit, and it is really weird. I like it. I like it a lot. The whole day I was just laughing. I couldn't stop laughing when I was reffing. It was just too much. We're still here in the front headlock, but Roberto finally gets to side control. Daniel's on his side here. And I'm going to fast forward because... Oh, that's in that video. Because I'm pretty sure we get mostly the same stuff. Roberto is basically just in side control and controlling the entire time. Daniel has a few good at Granby attempts, but really his hips are just getting smashed the other way. This is kind of a long match. Basically, it's just Roberto riding. I'm not going to do too much commentary. But basically, so at this point, this was Daniel's good spot. He recovered a full guard, but it did not last long. Roberto drops into a T-pass and gets to twister side control. And he just hangs out here, and he ends up tapping out Daniel from just exhaustion and heat. Daniel was unable to breathe very well through the mask, and as you can see, like, you actually can't really see, but he's really tired, but he doesn't have an opening for his mouth, so he just tapped from being getting cardio KO'd, as we call it. But that's also what happens when somebody's passing your guard for 5 minutes and you can't recover, and they're just dropping their weight on you, dropping their weight. You don't know what to do. You know, anxiety starts to set in, and you kind of just panic, and you lose control of your breathing. You can't. You're just super hot, and I'm sure that that onesie outfit didn't help. I just want to mention how important it is to turn your hips in. It's a pretty basic thing, but I think he does a Granby attempt. So Roberto passed here and just hanging out inside control. He's got like this half cradle, and then right here I like how Daniel frames, and then he's trying to slide his hips away. He's trying to invert so he can Granby roll, but Roberto, he sees this one coming. Let's see. So So Roberto sees this coming, and as Daniel is moving, let me change this color. As Daniel is moving in this direction with his hips, Roberto is moving in the other direction to compensate, and then he just smashes down, keeps the pressure, and Daniel's not able to get his hips up anymore. So that's one way to recover guard, but I think the most important way to recover guard, the most classical, the most common, is just to turn the hips in. Let's get a good shot. So he's getting his arm trapped here. He steps over to north-south. And right here he gets it. Because, notice guys, Daniel's body is facing his opponent. Daniel's body is facing this direction, right? It's facing Roberto's legs. His hips are facing the hips. That is what you're looking for to recover guard. Here, the opposite is happening. Daniel is facing the wrong way. His hips are now facing this way, and he's not able to hit his basic shrimp to a guard recovery. And like, you gotta hit those so much where it's just, that's second nature. You gotta be framing, you gotta be turning in. As you can see here, Daniel's also grabbing the wrist. Big mistake there. You're just leaving your arm exposed. It should be framing underneath the neck right here, creating space so you can hip out and start to recover guard. That's pretty much it. So all these guys are white belts. However, Roberto is the more experienced out of all of these guys, and it really showed here. Props to Roberto for that win. Let's move on. This next one, we have Jason Cuizon versus David Corliza. So I want to make sure my chat is working. All right. So Jason is trying to pass the guard, and David is doing a really good job of keeping distance. He's keeping his body squared up with Jason. He's doing a solid job of not letting his guard get past. He is backing away, but you got to know David has only been training for a couple of months. He's been training consistently, but Jason has a lot of experience on him and some size as well. But he's no slouch. He's definitely been working hard, and he definitely has got some moves. And look at that. As you can see, Jason's having trouble getting past the guard. But right about here, he settles down on him, gets his weight down, and kind of is just nice and patient. He gets that twister pass, and he's right here. He's past the guard. He's gotten away from the legs, and he's here in side control. Little twister side control. Changes to a more standard side control, judo side control, but then goes back to look for the Kimura grip. David clinches the body so he doesn't get stuck in the Kimura grip. David's got a solid frame right here. Jason swings over for the spinning armbar, but it is not there. He loses control of the arm, and we are back in a neutral position. Jason is looking focused. He's looking mean. And David is looking he's looking good, but he's not as composed as Jason, as you can see. Jason gets back to his knee slice, gets past those legs, and right away he's looking for that Kimura grip. He knows what he wants. David's able to buck him off, but he's still on the bottom. Jason almost getting stuck in a full guard. Gets his panda hat on. David chooses to stand up against Jason. Jason looking again with the knee slice. David's got a little Z guard, quarter Z, but hard to stop that twister pass. Jason passes again, but David reguards. Another knee slice by Jason, just right through the Z. David's got some good frames, but he lost the frames. At this point, David is just struggling to survive. He's trying to get his frame back, but he gets it back too far. Jason's able to get his head around the arm. He might start looking for arm triangles at this point. David's really got to bring his arm in. His coach, Spence, is calling out for it. But at this point, it's too late. Jason's got that head pressure in the side of the arm. David just can't swing his arm around. Jason's getting his grip locked up. Jason steps off to side control. He's got this clinch strong. And that's it. He finishes with the arm triangle. What is up, Daniel? Thanks for dropping in. No problem. I'll definitely give you some more feedback. So let's go back here. I watched those last two matches, so I kind of already knew what was going on. I saw him yesterday, but I'll go over this again and kind of commentate like I don't know what's going on. But here we go with the breakdown. David does a really good job of keeping Jason away at the beginning of the match. But once he gets past, he just didn't have his arms in the right spot. And number one, try not to get past in the first place. You got to be able to change from Z guard to butterfly guard and go back and forth. But once you get past, you got to make sure you have your arms in the right spot. So he gets past in this spot, and look at this. This is perfect. This is what I'm talking about. I'll probably mention this many, many times, but this first top frame against the neck, that's really key. You got to be patient there and keep it there. He also, I believe, has this grip on the bicep with the other hand. Those are really great. The problem is, as we continue, David loses the frame, and now he's gripping the back of the head. His hand is behind Jason's head, and this is bad for a number of reasons. But mainly because Jason can just smash down on David right here, and David is just getting crowded. David is not controlling the distance. And then, as you can see, in desperation, David tries to recover his frame, but in recovering, he brings his elbow too high. Maybe not in this particular spot, but right there. He's reaching through. He's trying to bring his frame in. He's trying to get his hand in, but in doing so, he's brought his elbow high. And by bringing his elbow high, that gave room for Jason to slide in the back. Right there. And this is the beginning of the end. When Jason got his head around the side of the arm, that's a wrap. It's a little interesting. It's not a conventional arm triangle position because this hand is in outside of the lock. It's like through the bottom, which is kind of not it's not very common. But regardless, Jason is able to just keep his elbow stuck. That's the whole idea. You got to keep his elbow stuck, and he kept that elbow stuck the whole way through. There was a couple opportunities, like right here. Jason, if he was trying to improve upon his own move, Jason should have just dropped his head to the mat right there. Closed up this space. You see all this space right here? That is empty space. That's space where David could have swung his elbow right here. He could have swung it around and got underneath. And then he could recover his frames again. He could have just waved his arm back around. But the problem was he was just too concerned with clinching this bottom leg. I noticed he started working this grip right here. He's trying to recover guard with his left hand, but that's kind of low percentage on a good guy. You're not going to be able to recover guard like that. You're just putting yourself in a bad position. You're opening yourself up to other problems. So yeah, the whole idea when you're getting mounted, when you're getting side controlled, you got to keep your elbows in. You got to keep your arms in. You can't let anybody get under you, and that's what's happening here. Jason gets his head underneath and just takes advantage of it. And that's pretty much it. He locks up that arm triangle, got off the side control, and finished with the choke. And that's it. Really good sportsmanship. Winner, Jason Cuizon. All right, on to the next match. What is up, Sichana? Hello, Avelia. Thanks for joining in. Next match, we have Eddie versus Roberto. I'm going to turn the volume up just a little bit. Let me know if it's too much. So Eddie gets a takedown, ends up in the full guard. Roberto's looking to trap the arms and open up for an armbar, but in doing so, lost the arm, and Eddie takes advantage of the ankle. He's on the ankle lock. Decent position. He's got his legs somewhat in the right spot. Rob scrambles, and Eddie ends up taking the back off that scramble. Excellent transition from leg lock to getting up and taking the back. Very nice. Rob is defending the choke here. I like how Rob is staying calm. Look at his face. He's just chilling. He's got that stone face. He's in an extremely horrible position, but he's staying calm. Very important. Eddie's on the gable grip. This could be this looks pretty tough. This looks pretty tight. Eddie could potentially finish here. Problem is he doesn't have head position. He goes back to the over-under. And Eddie does a smart thing and takes top position. The back control was, he was escaping Eddie's back control, and Eddie made the right decision to take the mount instead. Rob's got his, he's working his frames on the hips. Eddie swings and tries to look for an arm. Oh, he's trying to lock in the triangle, but Rob just rotates, breaks that triangle lock, and now he is in side control. We got Twister side control right here. Rob's doing a great job of pressuring Eddie's hips. Goes to a more regular side control and goes to the mount. He also has that arm stuck across Eddie's face. Modified gift wrap. Eddie receives a stalling call for grabbing the uniform, a penalty. And Eddie's able to scramble out, end up on top. Front headlock. We got a reset. Rob is in the half guard. He's got one leg underneath. Roberto is looking to elevate and he's looking to get his own Ashigarami, but Eddie sees this coming and he starts shrimping out. Little Tachiwaza, and Eddie gets on top, but Roberto reverses with a little frame on the bicep, some Heisman action. Roberto steps over. He's in the head pinch. He's in a north-south position. Always looking for that Americana. He finds the arm. He loses the grip. Eddie's doing a good job of defending, but now it's isolated. Rob's got this. Hand is on the mat. Eddie wiggles free again. Rob steps over, looking for the straight armbar. He's trying it. He's finding the right spot. Can't quite get it. He's going for it. He's got good position. Oh, this looks pretty tight on the arm. But Eddie's just super scrambly. Right here, he almost gets that Americana lock again, but it's just not there. Eddie is really good at scrambling out of submissions. Rob has a reverse Kimura grip, I believe. Stepping over for the armbar, loses it. Ends up on the bottom. Eddie's on top here in the standing position. Tries to throw the legs to the side, and he's looking for a leg lock. But his own leg is exposed as well. Rob pushes away. We're back in the open guard. Eddie dives forward, but ends up letting Rob get underneath him with the Ashigurami. We're in the reposition. Eddie, Rob gets up on top, takes him down with a headlock, but in the process gives his back up, and Eddie's able to get behind. Side control for Rob. He steps into the mount. Eddie's coach is calling out the elbows in. Can't see from this angle, but I think Rob is hunting down for the Americana lock, and the referee calls it. We don't get to see it in this position, but Rob puts on a deep Americana lock right here. He's cranking on it. It wasn't too bad, but Eddie's just down here not defending, and I was the referee, and I just didn't want to see him get hurt. Afterwards, you can kind of see him complain about the stoppage, but I think it was a just stoppage. Really frustrating for the ref to call it. I know how it is. You want to fight to the bitter end, but he didn't show any signs of defending. Like, if he would have scrambling out of this, I would have let it go, but he was just holding on to his pants and not doing anything to get out. Yeah, so that's an important lesson. Is you gotta, if you're in an in-house tournament or a tournament where they're gonna stop the submission if there's a potential for a submission, you gotta not let your arm get put in the bad spot in the first place. I mentioned this on this at the tournament, but you can't let the guy get your arm in the first place. Like, the ref is gonna call it early, so you lost the match because you got your arm extended. Yeah, you didn't tap, but the fact that the ref had to come in and stop it is enough to, for you to, just kind of get back to the drawing board. Yeah, it sucks to lose like that, but that's how it goes. Don't let your arm get extended. Don't get mounted. The key here was just the top pressure from Rob. Rob got put in some bad scenarios. I think Eddie had his back in the beginning. Eddie had his back here at the end. But Eddie was just not able to launch his offense. He wasn't able to get onto a submission. I would have liked to see armbar transition or some truck but he just slipped off, and especially off this scramble, as we can see, Eddie is starting to, so he's got the back right here. He's got the top hook in. It would have been really nice for Eddie to have this bottom hook in. This bottom hook is going to stop Rob from turning in. But he loses the top hook. He doesn't have any hooks. He just has a little seatbelt lock. And that's not enough. Rob's going to turn in right here. And as he turns in, Eddie's isn't doing enough with his bottom knee. You got to know the bottom knee is the most important. This knee, see how it's just doing nothing? Off of that failed back control. Like right here, his knee is also low. Even in the back control, this knee, I don't know if you can see it right here, but this knee is really key. You need to make sure you have this knee high to take the back correctly, to get both hooks in. And if you don't, you got to make sure you keep that knee high so you don't get your guard pass right there. And that was the end. Let's see. I think just good positional control from Rob. I would have liked to see Rob not lose position so much, though. There were a few times, like here, for instance, where he has his opponent. He's got this top position, and he looks to like step off and try and get this neck crank, but Eddie slips out. And this guy, Eddie, is really slippery. You can't give him an inch. He's going to wiggle out. He's going to find a way to escape. So you can't give him those opportunities. You got to stay on top as well. You got a strength advantage on these guys. Use it and stay on top, maintain position. All right, moving on. Here we have Gilbert Mojado versus Nathan Rubino. He's got a monkey onesie versus Batman. Gilbert right away gets a guard pass. He's inside control. Nathan's trying to recover. Nathan's in the half guard at this point. And Gilbert is in the top half. Had an arm control. Nathan finds his lockdown temporarily. But Gilbert steps over for the mount. But right away, Nathan recovers half guard on his left side. Gilbert goes for the buttocks compressor, but it's not there. Nathan switches to a full guard. Right away, Gilbert steps over again. Back in half guard. Nathan uses the knee shield. Gilbert grabs the pants a little bit. And we're neutral. Gilbert decides to play on the bottom. Gets the full guard. He's got that New York. He's looking for the meat hook. Nathan's trying to push his knee down. Oh, and he gets the knee over. Gilbert doesn't capitalize on that. Nathan knee slices all the way into side control and the mount. Gilbert once again put in a tough position. Nathan has just got this lock on the head. He's doing a good job of maintaining the leg position. He's using some grapevines with his feet. Gilbert finally gets his legs on the inside. Gilbert trying to frame on the armpits. He's trying to hip bump sweep. But Nate's got some good base. Nathan just got a heavy mount. Gilbert's trying to pummel. He's trying to pummel, but Nathan's doing a good job of keeping the feet tight. Doing a good job. Nathan's doing a good job of shoulder pressuring into Gilbert's head. And he's got this underjack. He's working his arm up. Nathan's bringing up Gilbert's arm. But Gilbert manages to lock his hands. Gilbert finally recovers a lockdown. Nathan attempts to knee slice, but Gilbert gets the full guard. Oh, armbar attempt. Swings over, bellies down, and finishes. Excellent belly down armbar by Gilbert. All right, let's do a quick breakdown. So, start from the beginning. Right away, first move. Nathan pulls guard. Gilbert just passes right over the top of it. Nathan does a good job of bringing his bottom knee in and recovering half guard. Gilbert is on top here in half guard. Steps over. Again, half guard on the other side. Smashes the legs down. He's got this. Okay, this is where we can do some analysis. So basically, number one, if you're on top in somebody's guard, you got to have your hands inside. Right here, Nathan's trying to stand up, which is okay. The problem is if you don't actually stand up, you're still on the floor. And right here, you give up this free overhook. Notice his left arm is in good position. Nathan's left arm, his hand is inside on the chest. That is preferable. The problem is his right arm is stuck on the outside. You never want your hands on the mat where they could do an overhook or where they could hug your knee and now your arm is trapped on the outside. It's just like he's trapped your shoulder down and your arm is stuck in place. It's really not good. So Gilbert reaches in for the meat hook. It's when you have your New York, your basic rubber guard position. The arm is on the outside, and now Gilbert can reach over the top and insert his hand in the shoulder, in the meat of the shoulder. That's why we call it the meat hook. He's got it right there. He's got a good grip of the neck, but as he's adjusting the grip, it's a little bit too slow where Nathan has the opportunity to use his hand, and he uses his hand to push down on the knee. This downward pressure is going to open up Gilbert's legs enough so that Nathan can bring his knee over the top. Now that the knee is over, the shin is on top of the leg, he can get the other leg through as well. He slices all the way into side control, and that was a big mistake by Gilbert's end. That was a big problem. That was a great pass by Nathan. And look at this, we suck up a lot of time here. 144 all the way to, what is that? 3. That's like over a minute of time wasted. Because why? Because we didn't take advantage of this hand. So right here, Gilbert has the meat hook with his left arm. Right away, if somebody's grabbing your knee like this, it's really important that you take your right hand and grab his left hand. Right there. Just a single wrist control, just like that. Once you have that wrist control, you can push the wrist up, you can push it down, and you can transition to triangle really easily. But Gilbert just took a little bit too long setting up his meat hook, and that's what gave the opportunity to Nathan. He was able to step over, and that was pretty much it. he ended up inside control. He got to the mount. Gilbert was finally able to recover his lockdown, and once again, patented Gilbert move. He gets to the full guard again. This time, he's not able to get his mission control, but check this out. Big mistake from Nathan right here. What's the mistake, guys? What is it? It's the arm coming across the body. All right. You need to have, if you're in the top position, right? If you're the monkey man right here, you need to have your hands inside on the biceps. What you don't want to do is start crossing your arms across the center line of your partner, right? You want to keep your arms going forward like that, or even down on the arms of your partner, on the hips. What you really don't want to do is reach across. If you reach across, that's a big mistake right there. Your opponent can trap your wrist, trap the arm, and swivel their hips and swing the leg over. And right there. If I could give some critique on this armbar, I would say I would have liked to see a little bit more swivel action from Gilbert's hips. He still manages to throw the leg over with his flexibility, but this is not a secure armbar at this point. What's really holding this together is this wrist control. He's doing a good job of going double wrist control, and he's keeping hold of Nathan's wrist very well, where Nathan is having a hard time pulling out. But he doesn't have great control of the shoulder. He doesn't have great control of the elbow. He just has control of the wrist, which is kind of, it's not optimal. So instead of just, so as we can see, he's got the wrist control, and he throws the leg over with his flexibility, pushes him away, and he actually uses the foot and the leg. As you can see right here, Gilbert uses his shin to push off of Nathan to swivel his hips, which is really interesting. Right there, boom. And now his hips are a little bit more perpendicular to to Nathan's body, and then he's able to get the finish. Again, what I've liked to see a little bit more off of this armbar is just more rotation, a little bit more posture breaking as well. But he's got the arm. These arm bars are important to know. So basically, once you got the arm trapped, you need to swivel your hips. Gilbert just kind of threw his leg over the top. Against high-level guys, I don't think that's going to fly. And it's a low percentage move, especially when you're not moving offline. So anyway, Gilbert needs to move his head in this direction, and he needs to move his hips in this direction. This will put him at a much stronger angle to throw his leg over. If you don't, it's still possible, as we just saw, but it's just not optimal. When you do an armbar, especially from the full guard, you need to swivel. You need to rotate your hips. You need to swivel. Okay, it's very important. But hey, he got the job done. All right, I think that's it. Let's move on. Here we have Daniel Villalobos versus Jason Quizon. We are here on the feet, hand fighting. I think we are here for a while. Just moving around. They're feeling each other out. Both of these guys are big, strong dudes. Lean. They are in good shape. Both of them, excellent condition. I think in this match, Daniel cut a little hole in his mouth, in his face mask. Daniel shoots a double leg, but Jason does a good sprawl. Ah! Avelia. You broke our camera. All right. We're here in the half guard, and Daniel is opting for the head and arm control and the head pressure. Actually, just head control. Jason has the lockdown. Daniel does not want to be stuck in a lockdown. Jason gets his double underhooks. He's looking for the electric underhooks, but Doesn't get the leg. He's just got the body lock. Daniel looks to do a no-hand pass. Ends up taking a headlock from the top position. Jason ends up rolling on top because of lack of base. And now Daniel's on the bottom with the front headlock. Andy has a lockdown. The problem is, though, he's on the wrong side. And in these cases, it's usually advised to release the headlock, save your energy. Daniel's got a little Z guard right here. But, man, that twister pass. Oh, Daniel almost takes the back. But Jason scrambles and manages to take top position. That is one of the problems, one of the common issues with the twister pass is if you do not control the upper body enough, if you don't control the hips, they can switch and they can end up taking your back. Right here, Daniel has a figure 4 above the knee, and he's got this crotch lock, but it's not going to be enough. Jason is just too heavy on top. He gets the reversal, but he doesn't get the back take. Daniel on top in the half guard, and Jason is just putting in the lockdown. He's got his underhooks. Jason tries to frame off the hips. He's trying to get some distance. He gets on his side, and he ends up getting on top. Another scramble. For a second, he was looking for that electric chair cradle, but he just chose to take top position. Didn't want to spend the energy. And now Daniel is on the bottom with the lockdown. Jason's got that left side underhook, loses it. He's trying to go to the buttocks compressor. Daniel takes a front headlock. Daniel recovers guard. Excellent move, but he just doesn't get his knee through and ends up in the half guard. Very close. He was trying that full guard. Just couldn't complete it. Daniel ends up on top, but he is stuck in the full guard. Daniel breaks out of the full guard, spins out, and we are back in the standing position here. Both parties are a little bit tired. Good show of sportsmanship. They have a great match going on. Very competitive. Daniel goes for the double leg takedown, completes it, but he is in danger of the guillotine on this side. Luckily, he pops his head out. He's safe from that guillotine. That one could have been a close one if Jason had it gripped up a little bit better. We're in the half guard. Jason finds his lockdown. Daniel just getting stuck in this lockdown over and over again. Daniel finds his wrist, looks to trap the wrist, but Jason finds his underhook instead. Uses his underhook to get on top, and now Jason is on top and Daniel is on the bottom half guard. Again, we are seeing a ton of lockdowns in this match. I like it. Daniel blasts into a full guard attempt, doesn't get to complete it, but gets some distance. Daniel, excellent job following the cartwheel pass. And excellent no-hand pass by Daniel. He gets his knee free. His coach is calling out knee to the mat. There it is. We're in the full mount. Really bad position for Jason here. Jason's doing a okay job of keeping his arms in, but Daniel's got a shallow underhook. He's cranking that underhook up, and luckily Jason got saved by the bell right there. You know, who knows what would have happened. Okay, let's move on. We are in EBI overtime. Jason starts with the back control, and Daniel's on defense. Right away, Jason pulls him into the post rear mount, puts him in the body triangle, and takes that same side wrist control. We're just hand fighting at this point. Jason's trying to get some separation so he can shoot his choke. Daniel pulls the arm over the top, but not enough. And as he does, he forgets about the other arm. Oh, Jason gets onto a gable grip and is able to finish. Now we have a rebuttal. Daniel has to finish in a brief amount of time. He's going to elect for the back control as well. Dark Haven by Jason. He's got a good angle here. He's almost out. Gets his elbow clear, and that's it. Oh man, Jason was tired on that one. I like that Dark Haven. That was really good. We don't see a lot of Dark Havens from white belts. I'm impressed. Okay, breakdown time. So here we see, just to kind of overview this, the entire battle. Real back and forth, many positional changes, constantly going from lockdown into full guard attempts, and I just really like seeing all the full guards. Daniel did a good job of not getting past very easily and too much. When he was getting past, he was able to reverse the position and end up on top. What else? I don't know, just a very competitive match. These guys were both really tough. Jason has just more experience. This was the headlock that was game. I don't want to cover this too much because I've covered it a lot, but basically, let's see, let's get a better shot right here. All right. So Daniel shot in on a double, or they scrambled somehow, and Jason has his headlock. When the headlock is on, you want the headlock, let's just say, on the bottom or on the opposite side of your legs. The headlock is on this side. His head is over here. Jason is choking Daniel with this arm. That means you want the legs on this side of the body. All right. He's got like a Z guard right here. He's got this leg underneath. This is good positioning. He's also trying to grip, and he's working on this elbow. He's trying to raise the elbow up. So he's doing a good job here. Not sure why Daniel was able to slip out so easily. Yeah, that's kind of odd. I guess he just wasn't crunching on the back enough. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes guys are just slippery. I'm thinking he didn't have enough. I think he had the headlock good. Like, he was crunching on it well. But he didn't have control of the chin. He didn't have control of the neck very well. I don't think he was pulling up. I don't think he was pulling up with his hands enough. Like, this upward direction. Most of the time, people slip out of the guillotines because they're not crunching enough with their chest. Most of the time, people are laying back too far with their weight. Like this. In that direction. But in this case, I could be wrong, but from what it looks like, Jason's arm, his choke arm, is just too low, and he doesn't have enough upward pressure with his arm. You need those opposing forces. You need that down pressure with your chest, and then you need the up pressure with your arm. So I think that's why it didn't work. But his body is in the correct position. He's got the headlock on this side. He's got the legs over here. That's what we're looking for. If we go back, I want to note headlocks from the lockdown, really low percentage. And also in this position, as Daniel's doing this front headlock, his legs are on the opposite side. Regardless of the entry or like your goal on finishing, the headlock, his choke arm is on this side, but the legs are configured on the same side. And as I just said, if it has to be opposite. If you're choking him with your arm over here, you need to get your hips and you need to get your legs on this side of the body. Or else you just have a very, very low percentage of finishing. Same thing right here. The guillotine, a lockdown guillotine, is low percentage. I've never seen somebody get guillotined from this position with the legs like this. Because, in my opinion, you don't have control of the hips. Like, if you do a guillotine from full guard, it's nice because you can lock around the hips. You can bridge off of the hips. You're using the hips as your medium to drive off. And you can get a lot of leverage off of the hips. But with the lockdown, you're just squeezing his leg down, which is good, but you're only going to generate so much force. Also, he has the arm-in guillotine, which is just even more low percentage, especially from a half-guard position. So, my main critique is just get your guillotine from more conventional positions or higher percentage positions. And then when you have a lockdown, instead of doing guillotines, instead of doing anything else, you need to be looking for electric underhooks. So from this position, I think Jason attempted it for a second. He went under, but for whatever reason, okay, so let's see this. So we're here in the underhooks, and then Jason looks for it for a second, but at the same time, as he's looking for the electric underhook, which is the hook on the leg, Daniel kicks his leg back. I don't know if that was intentional or if it was by accident, but Jason wasn't able to hook onto that leg, and so Jason instead went to go to the body lock, which is okay, but I would have liked to see Jason look for this leg a little bit more. Even if it's not there right now, boom. Even though he kicked his leg back, most likely that leg is coming back. So as Jason was looking for the underhook of the leg, Daniel kicks his leg back. That's good because now Jason can't grab it. But a second later, for no apparent reason, or, you know what, I'm wrong. I'm wrong right here. There is a reason. I didn't even notice. I'm not giving Daniel his credit right here. Daniel does a good job of doing a high knee. And then look at that. He finds his staple. He's pressuring. But he loses the staple. So that is one problem. So the leg goes back. And that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu is... What up, Spence? That's the beauty, is that it's a battle of timing. You got to time. You got to time correctly. You got to catch that leg when it's in position to be caught. Jason went to catch the leg, but Daniel sensed it. So he kicked his leg back. When Jason went back to the body lock, Daniel goes to the no hand pass. Excellent movements. Problem is, he didn't foot pummel. And because he didn't foot pummel, look at that. Jason has a juicy lockdown. And Daniel's not able to get out of it. Jason kind of just... You know what? I think it looks... There, I'm wrong again. Daniel does foot pummel. But as he's foot pummeling, his hips twist the wrong way. His hips turn in. His hips actually turn the wrong way, which I believe is what caused this foot to come out of place. All right, so let me break this down a little bit more clearly from the beginning. Jason attempts the electric underhook. Daniel kicks his leg back, so he does not get the electric underhook. Jason goes back to a body lock. Daniel does a high knee. Right here. That knee goes high, so he can insert the shin. Excellent move. As he does this, as he's pressuring, he foot pummels. Excellent move. But look at that. During the foot pummel, as he was foot pummeling, he lost the staple. And that could have been a big moment in the match. So as you can see, he's still stuck in the lockdown. And at this point, Jason does get the electric underhook. What happens? Jason just rolls on top. So here's another tip. When you're on top, I don't recommend you getting the headlock unless you are damn sure that you can escape the lockdown. You got to have some confidence in your lockdown escape, because if you don't, he's just got that lockdown on you. He's got this electric underhook. He's got the underhook on the body, and then you have no base right here. Notice Daniel is doing a excuse me. Daniel has a front headlock right here, which is great if you can finish it, or if you can get your leg free, increase your finishing chance. But if you can't finish right away, now you basically have trapped your own arms, and it's very easy for Jason to just roll on top. Jason's going to use this underhook right here. He uses this underhook here to just secure the leg. Man, my throat is bad. Sorry. Excuse me. And Daniel doesn't have base. If Daniel released the headlock, damn. Alright. If Daniel just released the headlock, he would be able to base his hands right here. Right? And then he would have gave Jason a much harder time in basing his hands. Look, he, instead of grabbing the headlock, he could have based his big old green hands right there, and he would have stopped Jason from getting up, but he didn't, and that is why Jason got on top. And then right here, Daniel is just wasting his energy with this headlock, and in a worse scenario, eventually, if Jason got out, he could have put him in a Von Fluke. Thankfully, Daniel released, and that was pretty much it from there. Let's go over this pass just a bit. I like this. Daniel's doing a much better job of retaining his guard. That was his big problem against Roberto. He was not able to get his guard. Jason's got this twister pass down. Let's watch it. Boom. Powerful. But Jason's too low. He's not smashing the chest enough. That's going to give Daniel the ability to get on his elbow and elevate his head. Look at this. Twister passing. But if you don't smash that chest down, he can get on his elbow right here. See this elbow, guys? Let's change that color back. This elbow. When somebody is twister passing you, do that and you can take their back. So as he gets up on the elbow, that gives him the base he needs to push off of his arm and swing. Look at this. Now Daniel is looking to attack the back of Jason. Excellent move. The problem is, the one issue is he didn't have a leg hook. If Daniel threw his leg right here over the top and hooked inside the thigh of Jason, that would have been a wrap. He could have secured the truck control, put him in a banana split, a calf slice, or took the back. But because he didn't have the leg hook right here, like if that leg was just inside, if this leg was over the top of inside the thigh, it could have been a much different story. But Jason very athletically spins back, faces the head, and recovers top position with the crossface. Excellent move. Excellent move by both guys. Back in the lockdown here, same deal. He gets the electric underhooks. Daniel's just too heavy on the head. He's not in a headlock. He's in a, I mean, it is kind of a headlock, but he's just a head clinch. It's like gable grip around his neck. But he doesn't have base. If Daniel just based his hands on the floor, he could have stopped these sweeps. Potentially. He probably needed to unhook the lockdown as well. And as you can see, it's just this back and forth lockdown battle. All right. Let's get to the finish. This was really great. I didn't cover over this. This time, Daniel doesn't foot pummel, but he keeps his staple in, and he slides that knee forward. Gets all the way to the ground. Excellent move. And then right away, he's taking advantage of this elbow. Real quick tip for Jason. When somebody's mounting you, having the hands on the hips like this, yes, you can push off. You can create distance with this frame right here. Jason wants to push Daniel upwards or overhead so he can bring his butterflies in. But for whatever reason, he just put the frames in and he didn't actually hip bump or try and use them. He just kind of keeps them there like this. I would highly recommend a mummy instead of the T-Rex, because as you can see, Daniel's able to sneak his hand inside and he's able to start fishing for that underhook. He even locks his hands, powers that underhook, and he's driving that arm up, and that's it. He could have got that underjack, and he could have gotten to an arm triangle. He could have done some damage right there. Let's look at this back exchange. Right away, Jason pulls him into the body triangle. And just squeezing that body triangle down. Let's watch this hand fight. So, Jason goes to the same side wrist control in the beginning. Like this. This is a good way to just make it a one-on-one battle. But Daniel's doing a good job of controlling this choke arm. Even though Jason has this same side wrist control on this side, Daniel's still able to use both of his hands and grab the choking hand. That's good defense on Daniel. Little tip for Jason is when you have the same side wrist control, don't just grab the wrist, push the wrist down to the center line. If you need to, you can even double up on it, go 2-on-1, and push it down. That way it truly becomes a one-on-one battle, and his arm isn't going to reach up anyways and still grab your choke hand. So Daniel does a good job of, look at this, he's controlling very well right here, the 2-on-1. Jason's unable to finish the choke. So Jason does a very smart thing here, and he switches it. Now, when Daniel's still focusing on this 2-on-1 on the choke arm, now this is the choke arm. He switches the move. He switches the arms. He locks in his own gable grip. And just with power, he just crushes Daniel's face. I don't even know if it was a choke. It kind of doesn't look like it. Kind of looks like more like a crank. Can't really tell. But just enough pressure to make Daniel tap. Some advice for Daniel in this position is working a body triangle escape. Unfortunately, we don't have a body triangle escape in level 1. But in your off time, ask me about the Freakazoid Shuffle or the Unraveler, and those are really go-to body triangle escapes that you should have in your toolbox, especially if you're going to be doing EBI overtime. You got to have a strong body triangle. You got to have a strong body triangle defense. On the flip side, what happens? Jason just does a good job of dark havening. Let's watch it. Head is on the mat. It comes off the mat. Here's a critical moment. So Jason dives onto the dark haven. He gets his head on the mat. But Daniel's still swinging through. Daniel's momentum swings him under again just a little bit. And look at this. You can't see it. It's not the best camera angle. Let me pause it. Right here. That's a better one. Jason's head comes off of the mat. And the longer your head is off the mat, that's opportunity for your partner's head to get underneath you. So we can see Daniel's head right here. Jason needs to get his head to the mat sooner. There should be zero lifting of the head. And that's the whole strategy behind safe havens and dark havens, is getting the back of your head to the mat and not letting it up. He did a good initial dark haven. He came up a little bit high for my taste. Yes, the head is going to come up a little bit off the dark haven, but you need to minimize that, and you need to make sure you pin your head to the floor as tight as you can. So this right here was the moment of truth for Daniel. Daniel could have slid under just a little bit more and got his head a little bit deeper, a little bit tighter. And that's something that I also noticed in the start position, is Daniel's head is a little far back for my taste. I would have rather had his chin right up against the trap. All right, when you do the back control, you don't want to be leaning back. You want to be crunching forward with your head over the trap. You want to have your head tight to your partner's shoulder and trap. That's going to keep your head, what we call head position, and that's going to be hard for your partner to disengage your head position. At this point, Daniel really doesn't have head position. He's too low, which gives Jason just an easy dark haven. Too easy right there. Head is up, but he ends up getting his head back down, and then he turns in. And Daniel's just unable to readjust. Nice attempt by Daniel, but Jason takes this one. Good match. All right. Turn the audio back on. I like to listen. Next, we have David versus Mauricio. David pulls guard. Mauricio ends up on top. Excellent scramble attempt by David. And Mauricio is controlling the leg here. And David is trying to leg over the top and lock in something on Mauricio's arm. I would like to see a Kimura grip right here. And he really could do it. He just doesn't really know how to change it up. Anyways, I'm supposed to be doing commentary, not a breakdown. David is looking to insert his foot inside, possibly take the back, or trap the arm somehow. David again giving Mauricio a big obstacle here with his leg, and then the arm trap. Both parties received a stalling call. And we got a little arm triangle, but as Mauricio locks in the arm triangle, he ends up on the bottom. We're in top half guard. Oh, and David moves right into the full mount. We're in the full mount still. Mauricio pushes him off of the full mount. Knee slices into the half guard. And securing his pass. Excellent staple by Mauricio. Disengages the hand control of David. And he's just driving with his shoulder pressure, his head and arm control. Very tight position for Mauricio. He's got this, we call it a side crucifix. Oh, big mistake. David, same mistake as before. arm triangle, and Mauricio uses it to take the back. That could have been over, but maybe Mauricio felt like taking the back was better in this case. We got a little ankle lock attempt. It is tight. Mauricio's face is in pain. This is not comfortable for Mauricio's foot. But David escapes. Mauricio shoots the rear naked choke and finishes the move. Very nice. Excellent match. He almost got tapped right here. So quick breakdown. Start from the beginning. We're in the standing position. David pulls guard. Right away, though, when we pull guard, you got to have the top knee in too. So especially when you pull quarter shell, like if you want to play quarter shell game, that's fine. But generally, most beginners don't want to play quarter shell, and they want to play more of a Z guard. And if you play this and you're pulling guard, you got to make sure you either trap his knee with your arms, or you got to bring in your own knee and extend into his hip with your knee frame, establishing your Z guard. You can't just be here in quarter shell with your frames on his shoulders, because nothing's stopping his knee from slicing. I'm pretty sure that's what happens here. Kind of. He kind of pivots off of his knee and kind of goes more into a twister pass. David does a good job of swinging around. And this was a really great offensive opportunity for David right here. He's got Mauricio in this really funky position. This would have been a great time for David to reach over the top of the elbow. This hand grabs the wrist control, and we could have done a Kimura grip. Kimura grip would have been really great here. But I just don't think he was aware. As we move in. Also, Mauricio, I think you should just kind of bail here. This is really dangerous for Mauricio. As I said, that Kimura grip is very... this is a great spot for David to get the Kimura grip. So I would caution someone from doing this passing like this, especially when the leg is draping over the top like this. Very scary. If you let go of that leg, or if something happens, you could get put in a triangle. Maybe that's what he was thinking about, though. He was trying to make sure he didn't get triangled. He's trying to step across. But if I was Mauricio, I would have advised, even from this position, to get your head up. Or get your head over the hip. So his head is low right now. Mauricio's head is kind of in the center of the belly. I would have liked to see Mauricio push off his feet and get his head higher over here. If the head is over here, that also means the chest is a little bit higher as well. And you'd have an easier time keeping your opponent on their back, and you'll be able to start maneuvering into side control a lot easier. The problem is he was too low and mostly down. He was too far away. And that's going to give your opponent the ability to swing their leg over the top. See this? And this leg over the top right here, that is big danger for Mauricio. David could have swung that leg all the way through and got into an armbar position. Or, as I said, lock in the Kimura grip, and then he can use his leg as an additional lever and put a lot of force on that Kimura. Maybe turn it into an ultra Kimura. But anyways, moving on. We get out of this position. He ends up passing. Same thing here with the... Same thing with the elbow position. When you're on the bottom, you can't be reaching. You can't be elevating your arms like this. If you reach across, you're going to get put in an arm triangle. And look at what happens. David's elbow is elevated here. And you can see that as we move, he cross faces and arm triangles. This could have been it. I think if Mauricio slid up a little bit higher and reached a little deeper, he could have locked that figure four in and finished the arm triangle from the bottom. It's possible. A little unlikely because of the leg positions. Normally I would have liked to see the legs on the other side, but yeah, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you end up in a weird spot. Next, we get into the mount. This is what I don't like to see. Mauricio is so strong where he made this work for him, and it kind of worked. I would at least like to see the frames on the hips, but Mauricio got mounted and he pushed off the center. He pushed off his partner's chest with his arms. That's just asking to get armbarred. And in the last in-house tournament, Mauricio lost the same way. So he did not learn from his mistake right here. Sorry, I must call you out, Mauricio. But look at this. He's framing against the chest, against the belly. And while, yes, you can create distance like this, it is not optimal. Instead, I would have preferred at least to see hands on the hips, lower towards the hips, not up high. If the hands are high, your opponent can control your arms, and even if they don't, they can maneuver their hips and they can swim into an armbar. If, as you can see, if David was aware, or if he had this, if he knew this move, he could have rotated his hips to face Mauricio in this direction, basically just swung his whole body, and he would have been able to get a basic armbar from the mount. But he made it work for him. He got his knees free, and he got on top. So it worked. But just because something works doesn't mean you should do it. You got to think. You got to play the long game. You know, it might work on a white belt, but it's not going to work on a blue belt. I'll tell you that. So something really impressive that I saw here was Mauricio ended up passing the guard, and he does this this staple. He goes for this crucifix. He sees that David is doing a wrist control. Another mistake from David right here. Same mistakes. Don't sweat it too much. He's still a beginner. All these guys are beginners, so I don't want to harp on it too much. But basically, don't harp on your mistakes. Just learn from them. Take this information and improve upon what you're doing. But as you can see, the frame he has no frame. His arm is draping over the top. He's not creating distance. He's pulling his partner in, if anything, and he should be pummeling inside to get the forearm against the neck. He's also trapping the wrist right here, which from this side control position is just not helping you out. By you extending and grabbing his arm, your arm is extended, and now he's able to trap it in a number of different ways. And in this case, Mauricio brings his leg through, knee slices over the top, staples the arm down, and he's able to disengage that wrist control. Mauricio goes all the way into a full, no longer a staple, but a calf to calf on the arm with a crossface. Got this head and arm control. And then once again, same problem we saw with the match against Jason. David has kind of his frame in place. It's too high up on his face. You want to make sure you're kind of a jerk, and you got to put that forearm in the throat. When the forearm is in the throat, you'll be able to get a little bit more distance. But as we see, he shoots the arm over the top. I'm not sure why, but he's just running on instinct right here. His arm extends, and the elbow becomes elevated. As you can see, the elevated elbow. Bad news. Mauricio steps across. He's trying to get to the side control, and he does. This is a good finishing position, but I think David learned from his last match, and he didn't stay in this position. David ends up rotating. He ends up turning. He gets into his turtle, but that gives Mauricio the free back take. From here, this could have been the end. I've seen many matches end like this where one person is dominating. They take the back, and then person on bottom, or they take the back and then look, they cross their ankles in front. Right there. Big mistake. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So big mistake right here, where Mauricio does a body triangle on the wrong side, and then he leaves his ankles crossed in front. Classic mistake. Classic. That gives David the opportunity to throw his leg over the top, cross his ankles, and now he can start bridging into Mauricio's foot. And it's like doing a foot lock right here. It's almost a twisting foot lock, but usually it's like a straight ankle lock. Look at that face. Look at that beautiful face. That is gorgeous. So do not cross your ankles in the center. All right, you can cross your ankles on the hip, like if it's out of range. But you got to know, if your partner crosses his ankles or hooks your leg over your ankle, you are in some deep trouble. And sometimes on the angle, I've seen it turn into like an inside heel hook, and it can be very damaging. But you got to know that ankle lock, low percentage. You know, it doesn't work a whole lot at the high levels. It does though. It's not uncommon. I mean, it is uncommon, but it's not impossible. You could still land it, and you have to respect it. You can't just cross your ankles, and it's like the easiest way for an experienced person to lose against a non-experienced person. I remember I was rolling it with someone at HQ, and he was a blue belt. He wasn't that good, but I took his back. I wasn't, he was a blue belt. I wasn't going 100%, or I just wasn't, as aware. And one false move, he caught my ankles and he tapped me, and I felt like shit because I was dominating and I just made a dumb little mistake and he caught me. So you got to respect that move. If you are doing the ankle lock, you still need to protect your neck. As you can see, he's trying to grab his hands. That's only going to last so long. You need to stay shelled up with your arms. You need to be like this. Yes, you can grab, but you need to grab, but most importantly, you need to keep your hands covering your neck. All right. As you can see, Mauricio's just got a deep bite on the neck. David's even able to pull the defending hand down, but Mauricio has another level of squeeze. Mauricio's been training for about 6 months or so, and he's not the most technical, but he is one of the strongest dudes that I know. He's only 145 pounds, but he has the squeeze of like a 170, 180 pound dude. So you gotta know that Mauricio he's explosive, he's fast, and he's got a death squeeze. Like, he tapped this guy, David, with just an arm across the throat. He wasn't even grabbing his shoulder. He was grabbing his own shoulder, and his support arm was down, and he still got the finish. He's just super strong. Excellent match. I'm excited to see both of these guys keep improving. I think we're getting close to the end of our matches. Let me see here. Oh, I think we still have quite a bit. Okay. Let's take a quick intermission, and I will be back in 2 minutes. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. Feel free to comment. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will certainly do my best to answer them. Be right back. You can see my cool "be right back" overlay. Boom, and I am back. Sorry for the delay. I had to get a cough drop because my voice was bugging out on me. Here we are. Okie doke. So, we are back into it. We have Gilbert Mojado versus Nathan Rabino. Nathan certainly stronger of the athletes, but Gilbert has a lot more experience. This is their second match. Their first match, Gilbert caught Nathan in an armbar, but this time we have Nathan here in the full guard, mission control. Gilbert is trying to pressure through, trying to get heavy on the leg of Nathan. He's keeping his hands in well. Nathan's doing well, keeping his arm wrenching in on the mission control. Gilbert reaches back to try and push that leg down, but ends up in a triangle situation. His hands are both on the inside, but this is not a place Gilbert wants to be. He ends up getting his knee through. Oh, but loses it again. We're in 3/4 rubber guard. Gilbert passing that leg through. Unfortunately, Nathan does not have the arm zombied. So it's still a mission control. He ends up losing it. Nathan starts scrambling for the back. Oh, but Gilbert rolls through. He's very aware and doesn't let that happen. We got to reset. We're back in the full guard. Gilbert trying to keep inside position with his hands. Nathan doing a good job of breaking the posture. Nathan ends up pressuring forward, getting a sweep. I think Gilbert lost his balance as Nathan was sitting up and ended up mounting. But right away, Gilbert has a very excellent recovery game, and he's able to recover from lockdown and get into the full guard. Mission control. Completed the overhook, and now he's looking for his Hindulotein. Nathan brings his hand back inside. I'm not sure it's going to help. Oh, that was a very tight position. Gilbert transitions to omoplata. But Nathan's hand is on the far side of the hip. Normally it's done on the near side. Nathan rips out of the omoplata. And Gilbert does a good job of recovering guard, doesn't let the guard pass happen. And here he is looking for his armbar again. But he's got his leg trapped underneath. Not the best spot. Nathan is looking to pass the guard here. Excellent. Gets behind. He's in the north-south. And he's starting to work on this Kimura grip. Excellent move. He's got the head pinched. He's finding his Kimura grip. He's got a good move here. Oh, Gilbert almost sweeps him off, but not quite. Gilbert rolls through, hip heists. And Nathan catches his back for a second, but no control. Gilbert did a great job of scrambling right there. Right away, Nathan falls into the full guard, trying to pass. Gilbert goes back to his Hindulotein. But Nathan does a good job of rotating and getting out. Oh, armbar. Armbar attempt. Oh, he's sunk in deeper. Gilbert's got a decent bite on this arm, but he's got no head control with his legs. The leg is not in front of the head. This is low percentage right here. He might lose this armbar. Oh, armbar attempt, triangle look. He's locking in the triangle. Gilbert's rotating on it. He's looking to trap the arm. He's trying to go triangle armbar. Good match, guys. Very competitive. I really wanted to see these guys go at it. Excellent match. Props to Nathan. He comes from a striking background, and he's pretty new to grappling. And he has been coming to practice very consistently for the last month or so. And props to him for stepping up and doing this competition. A lot of people didn't. Brings me to a good point. A lot of people said they were going to do it, and then a couple days before, they're like, oh, I got to do this thing, I'm going to be busy, blah, blah, blah. And I had a bunch of people flake, probably like 5, maybe a little more than 5 people flake out last minute. It's part of the competition, but especially, competing in a onesie, it's another level of humiliation if you lose to a dude in a onesie. But you got to know it's all fun. It's a low stakes. You're all white belts. There's nothing to lose. There's not much to win either, and you're all just winning because you're getting experience. So you gotta be able to step it up like Nathan. So I was really proud of him for stepping up. He fought like a warrior. He went against a much more seasoned opponent, and that's just how it goes. The more experienced person is generally gonna win. Couple things to note. Let's run through it real fast. We're here in the rubber guard. Nathan's unable to get his zombie on. Right here would have been a good opportunity. As you can see, Gilbert has a strong frame right here. It's very hard to zombie someone like this. But what happens is, for whatever reason, Gilbert goes to go hand on the bicep, and I would this way doing that right there, because at this point that's a great opportunity for Nathan to pummel his hand inside, and then he can go up and around the knee to zombie. Alright, just like this little whoop to hug the knee. Gotta go inside and then around the knee, trap that arm. So that would have been one good opportunity for Nathan. I was really actually surprised to see him start using the rubber guard. I didn't think that was in his arsenal, but he's surprising everyone. He even gets to the crackhead control. The problem is, though, that Gilbert's arm is across the belly, as you can see here. This arm is across, and it's really hard to do rubber guard if somebody's arm is like that. Scrambling. Okay, here I think Gilbert he just sits. It's kind of funny. He's on his laces right here. Nathan sits up, tries to smash him. He sits up, trying to pull him down, but ends up taking him down. I call this the monkey bump. Look at this. He's a monkey, and he's gonna do like a hip bump. That looks funny. Ends up on top. Full guard, mission control. Free New York. So, as I say, you got to have your hands. He's like on the bicep, but he's using the wrong grip. He's doing an up grip with his hands. He needs to be turning his palms down on the biceps. That's going to keep his hands in more. You need to keep all 4 fingers on top of the bicep rather than fingers on the tricep. Because what happens is Gilbert does his mission control. He's hugging the knee while your thumb is blocking the bicep. It's not going to last long. Boom. And look at that. Now Nathan's hand is trapped on the mat. Big mistake. Gilbert throws his arm over his ankle and goes for the Hindulotine. Shout out to Ben Eddy. If you guys are not aware of the Hindulotine, it is a foot in Marcellatine choke, and it is super high percentage. Just not a lot of people do it. Not a lot of people have the flexibility. But if you got long legs and you got some decently flexible arms, the Hindulotine can be for you. One thing here, Gilbert, you can't see very well from this camera angle, but we lost the omoplata is not here because Nathan is got his hands together. So for the omoplata to work, generally you need the forearm on across the near hip. Right now, Nathan's forearm is going across the far hip. He's unable to, and Gilbert's unable to start applying any real submission threat. Notice you can even see Nathan's hands are locked underneath. So that's just a clear indicator you're not going to get this omoplata. He's got his hands locked together under you. If anything, you're going to get your guard passed. So what I would have liked to see is for Gilbert to rotate his head this way. And then he could have easily slapped this leg up on top of the shoulder and put Nathan in a triangle, like a deep triangle from this position. Anytime there's a triangle, anytime you have someone in an omoplata, there's a triangle to be found. Anytime you're in a triangle, you can always change to omoplata. Remember that. Get good at both of those moves, and you'll have a solid little system on changing from those two. Right here, he's got a little go-go clinch opportunity, but you know what? He doesn't have the arm in the right spot. Gets his guard passed. Here's a great one. Nathan does a good job of passing the guard. He gets to a head pinch, and he locks the Kimura grip. From here, Gilbert did the right thing right here. He turned in and got his elbow down. Obviously, you got to get your head free, but look at this. He got his head free, and then he's turning, getting his elbow down. Problem is, he didn't get his elbow down all the way. I need to see the better angle. Boom. Oh, right about there. So I want to go over in class later. I'll probably do it in competition class. Ask me an open mat if you want to know, but I'm going to show the Kimura flip. And so Gilbert did the right thing. He hipped out, and Nathan fell off to the side. This was a key opportunity for Gilbert to get his elbow to the floor. If you can get your elbow to the floor right here, you will evade the Kimura grip, and you can actually put your opponent in a Kimura. Once you get that Kimura grip, now it's your turn. Now you can get on top. You can take the back, get to spider webs. It's up to you. But he fails to do so, and Nathan ends up getting back on top. However, Gilbert scrambles. He gives up his back momentarily. I would have recommended him to scramble the other way and just regain guard. He turned away right here. I would have rather seen him bridge and then just turn in the opposite direction. But instead he went turtle, and in the process of going turtle, Nathan jumps on his back. Right here, this is looking tight, but I think Nathan's a little too high, and he doesn't follow Gilbert enough. Gilbert spins, and Nathan doesn't follow. He just kind of stays in the same spot. That's why Gilbert's able to get out. Excellent passing from Nathan, but look at this. He falls in. Good initial pass, but Gilbert recovers, and right away, meat hook, And then same thing, Hindu Lotin. The problem is, though, that Gilbert is still not, you don't just want to let someone pass over your leg. I've heard that you can still finish the Hindu Lotin even if they pass your leg. But why are you going to let them pass your leg in the first place? Let's just avoid that altogether. This leg needs to be hooking over the top of Nathan's back. That way, Nathan can't just step over the leg so easily and get side control pressure. Because if you get to side control, you can start pressuring your opponent, and just make it really tough for him to finish any choke. I'm not too experienced with the Hindu Lotin, but from this scenario, it looked like passing that leg was the right thing to do. You know what I think the main thing was? Even Spencer's calling out to Gilbert. He's saying, as Nathan's passing, Spencer's telling Gilbert, "It's okay, just finish it. It's okay, finish it." And then he is right here. He's trying. The problem is he's losing the shoulder. Can we go back and see the shoulder control? We can't see it from this camera angle, but the issue is the shoulder slips out. Nathan's far shoulder slips out. I don't know why. I think the onesie jiu-jitsu thing is cool, but the problem is the onesies are slippery. The fabric slips very easily, and Nathan's able to slip that shoulder down. I'm not sure how. Slips out. And that's it. No more Hindu Lotin. So this armbar, it was a really good armbar. He's in this last match, he got that wrist control armbar. But this match, the problem was when he shot the armbar, both legs were over the lat. And you need to break their posture with this leg. This leg, see how it's on under the shoulder? It needs to be over the head. You need to drape that leg over the head to keep their posture down. You can throw them to the side, and you'll be able to finish this armbar. You'll also be able to control that far shoulder, not this shoulder up here of your opponent. You'll be able to control the far shoulder, the primary shoulder, and you'll be able to trap it and finish your armbar. But for whatever reason, sometimes stuff happens, and you just get stuck in a weird position where your leg's in the wrong spot. So you got to be able to transition. Right here, there was a moment where Gilbert could have swung his leg around over the face. But here it's too late. I think if I was in this position, I probably would just let go of the armbar and just get on top. Get on top. Get on top. Get on top. But instead, he waited and his opponent got on top. But as his opponent was getting on top, same mistake as their last match for Nathan. Check this out. I said it before. Same thing. His arm coming across. Here's the center line of Gilbert. Right? Nathan's arm position. It's a cross. Too easy to control. Goes wrist control, pop triangle. Crosses his legs behind the head. And really, the triangle's not there. What's the whole attack is the armbar. And this is pretty cool because, as you can see, Nathan's hand is trapped inside the triangle lock, and it's unable to defend his hand. So I was going to say he should have grabbed his hands together, but he couldn't in this scenario because it was stuck in the triangle. Right there, same thing, belly down finish. Excellent technique from Gilberto. Okay. Moving on. Getting through it. Jason versus Eddie. Excellent backstep trip. Right into the mount. Not the way Jason would have wanted to start this match. Ezekiel attempt by Eddie from the mount. Jason's getting busy with the legs. He's unhooking the legs well. Eddie moves into side control. He felt like he was losing the mount. And steps over because he felt like he was losing side control. As he was stepping over, he allowed Jason to get his half guard. Jason's able to shrimp and recover position. Now Jason's on top. He's working his heavy knee slice. And just slices through. Heavy knee slice. You gotta have a heavy knee slice in your passing game. It's just the most fundamental. And Eddie turns and gives up his back. Eddie's still belly down here. This is not a good position for Eddie. Jason just content to keep his hooks in, just dropping the weight on him. He's working the choke. I think he's got a little face crank action right here. And that's it. Very good. Can't give up your back. Even if your guard is getting past. He wasn't able to scramble out that time. I would have liked to see just more turning from Eddie. I think he was just, very concerned about defending the choke. But you have to know that here, your opponent, this heavy dude, is on your back, dropping his hips into you, elevating your legs, and you can't stay here. It's hard to deal with. You need to turn. If anything, just let him still be on your back, but get on top. Leg press. Get on top of him. You can't let somebody flatten you out and just stay right there. You got to move. Big mistake, though, was one, even coming back. So, one, start from the beginning. Eddie, I like this right here. He just steps behind, hard step behind, little judo move. Trips his opponent, ends up in the mount, controls the mount for a bit. Jason does a good job of watching that choke and forcing Eddie to go into side control, and then forcing Eddie to backstep. And because if Eddie didn't backstep, I think Eddie felt it. He was gonna slip out the back, and you don't want someone to take your back right there. So he backstepped. That was smart. And then right here, Jason does a good job of turning in, shrimping, framing, and getting distance. Now Jason is on top, and he's able to knee slice. He's just patient right here. That's what I really like. I'm pretty sure Ben's been working on that with him. He just gets into the knee slice position, and he's just patient. He's just heavy, and he's just sinking. And here's a key right here. This is how I know Ben's been teaching this. One, Jason comes to morning classes. Come to take Coach Ben's morning class. But look at this elbow. This is something that Coach Ben did on me a bunch. He still does. His elbow, he's got this default hands, right? That's pretty standard. But then he pummels in his elbow inside the knee. Look at this. Boom. That little move negates the knee shield. All right? Because check this out. Eddie has a good knee shield right here. Eddie has inside position with his knee. But as I said, that elbow pummel, it's a little tiny move, but it makes a huge difference. Because now Jason has inside position, and he's just going to complete this knee slice. He slices all the way through, gets past the knees, and now he's in side control. At this point, Eddie does not turn in. Eddie should be framing. Eddie should be shrimping. But instead, he does a desperation turtle. As he does, Jason steps over, gets the hooks in, takes the back, and rides him out the whole way. right here. Eddie should have continued to roll. I understand Jason is pretty strong, but you have to just roll. You have to go left, right. You got to buck left, right, left, right, left, right. You got to fake your opponent out and get out from the bottom, or else you will lose. That's pretty much it. Let's move on. We have Daniel Villalobos versus David Corliza, and I am cracking up. The mask is just too funny. The alien mask. Rob, before the match, when they were shaking hands, Rob was like, "We come in peace." Well, that had me dying. All right, David pulls guard, and then he stands up again. I like how Daniel is comfortable on his feet. You know, he doesn't come from a wrestling background, but it looks like he does. He's not afraid to shoot for doubles and single legs. Daniel's gonna backstep. Oh, and right away, I didn't see it, but basically got him in a lockdown submission. So Daniel is in the lockdown, and then David puts a lockdown on him. Right here, let's do a little replay. And that's it right there. He tapped out. So the lockdown, and it wasn't it's not just a regular calf slice pain. Like, his knee actually buckled, and when you do a lockdown on someone, there's a certain angle that you could do that, what is up, Dojo Rock? Who is Dojo Rock? Don't know you. But anyway, what's it called? The lockdown basically is like you could do it like an inside heel hook, and you could tap your opponent with just a lockdown, and that's what happened here. I always say you gotta never let somebody put you in a lockdown. Those G days are big. You gotta respect those lockdowns like you would respect a back control, or you'd respect a leg lock. You can't let somebody put you in this position. Something that I would highly recommend Daniel to do, and anyone that gets stuck in a half guard, or anyone that gets stuck in a lockdown especially, is tripod passing. So if you get stuck in this position, what I would recommend is, see how Daniel's on his knees? I don't recommend you to be on your knees in these spots. What you want to do is get on your toes, both toes on the mat, and elevate your hips high in the sky while dropping your shoulder down in your partner's stomach. That is going to prevent your partner from putting in a good lockdown and then right away changing into a twister pass. That little combo right there, the tripod into a twister pass, is going to be money for getting out of a lockdown, or just evading the lockdown in general. If you already get put in a lockdown, we have G-Day for that. But you need to make sure you never get put in the lockdown. And that means not having your knees down. You need to disengage from these type of positions and set up in a better spot. If you get put here, immediately switch your hips and twister pass. Or, as I said, you could also go tripod and then inside knee slice, just like how Jason did on Daniel. Or, sorry, Jason did on, who was his last match? On Eddie. He brought his elbow in and he did the inside knee slice. Daniel could do the same thing here. The problem is Daniel is just too content to be in this half guard, and people will put the lockdown on you and give you big problems, even in submission threat. So there's really no reason to just be right here. He is tripoding a little bit right here, but he needs to maneuver his knee to the inside or the outside. You can't keep your knee right there in the middle, or you're going to get put in a lockdown. You need a tripod and go inside knee slice, outside knee slice, or twister pass. One of those things got to happen. Go check out Damian Maya, BJJ Scout, and look at his tripod passing. That's where I learned it. But you gotta slice through people's half guards, and as you can see, it's really important because you could just get tapped out with a basic lockdown. It's possible. Ouch. Some guys got strong legs. They will make that thing hurt. Anyway, moving on. It's a legit submission. Look out for it. All right, we are in the last few matches. We have Mauricio versus Nathan. Nathan goes for double underhooks. He finds his mini stomp briefly and looks for his lockdown. But Mauricio's on his patented move, his guillotine. He's got a strong lock on the head. And he's moving into the mount. He pulls the full guard, but he's got that high elbow. He's just had a strong grip on the head, and that's pretty much it. Excellent match. Mauricio, do not let him get your head. He will take your head and pop it off. All right, check it out. Let's watch it again. Nathan sits. I like this. He goes for the double unders. He tries to pull him in right here. But you know what? He did not get his mini stomp correct. So I like this pull. The pull is not bad. But right here, the knee's in the center. It's perfectly set up for you to control that knee. Get your butterfly under the foot. Clamp over the top. And then mini stomp. Just like we do on E-days. E2 and E3, I think. You need to have your mini stomp on point. Oh, no, not E2 or E3. E1. E1, and then in the other later parts in E, in level 2, we do more mini stomp, but you got to get that mini stomp right, because right here he had it in a good position. He did grab the knee with one hand, but he wasn't able to lock the legs right, and then he wasn't able to achieve a lockdown. What might have happened? Look at this. The onesie got in the way. Look, maybe he could have got that lockdown, but Mauricio's knee got stuck on the crotch section of the onesie, so Nathan couldn't get the knee far away enough to apply a lockdown. And he tries there, but boom, it's too late. Too late. Mauricio steps over, gets a front headlock, and at this point, it's really hard to get out of this. Mauricio's just got a death squeeze. Unfortunately, Nathan is caught in between the legs. My one advice would be he's got like hands on the hips right here. He should have pushed Mauricio off without getting on top, because by getting on top, that gave Mauricio the opportunity to just keep his legs on the outside like a full guard almost, and it's easier to finish like that. Nathan should have tripoded and stepped over to his left. That would have helped. So Nathan, if he did get on top right here, Nathan could still escape. Even though he's got his leg trapped a little bit, I think he could have pummeled his leg free right here. And then you want to do like a flyover pass over to this side. You want to flip your legs over, land in side control right here, and then you're going to be safe. He's not going to be able to choke you. But if you stay in the center, if you stay on the wrong side, they're going to finish that guillotine on you all day. Excellent match. And let's see, how many more do we have? We have 2 more matches. Last 2 matches, guys. Gilbert doesn't want to stand. He chooses to sit and play guard. Okay, let's go back. It's kind of date. was kind of thinking about something else. Let's see here. So then David pulls guard. Gilbert ends up on top in a twister pass. But Gilbert defers, goes back to a more standard look. He goes to buttocks compressor. He's trying that buttocks compressor, but David is just too strong with his legs, and he ends up getting an underhook on the other leg like an electric chair. This is a potentially dangerous position, but Gilbert does a good job of foot pummeling and escapes the lockdown. Gilbert has double underhooks. David has a full guard, but those underhooks are deep. You don't want to stay there with those underhooks. You could potentially get guillotine choked, and Gilbert chose to just be in the full guard. We have a reverse Kimura right here, but Gilbert ends up falling. David gets on top. Back in full guard. And he turns it into the mount. I don't know why the video is lagging a little bit. Gilbert's doing the right thing here. He's got his mummies. He's finding his frame on the hip. He's got a reverse Alcatraz. Nope, he doesn't have anything yet. David gets an underhook on Gilbert's left arm. He's finger walking. He's even supporting his hand with his other hand. He's driving that underhook up, forcing the arm up. He's got that arm hiked up pretty high. It's not all the way up. Gilbert's locking his hands together to prevent the separation. And David takes a cross rear wrist control. Gilbert still unable to escape the mount. He received a stalling call. Gilbert trying to unhook the feet, but just not able to. David is doing a good job of keeping his legs together and winning the position. Both of them have 2 stalling calls. Modified Kimura grip, and right there I called the match. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Let's go back, check it out. So we're in the mount, but then David pulls guard. He's got this modified Kimura grip. He's got one hand. Let's see get a better angle. David's got one wrist control in front, and then he's got the other wrist control on the same wrist through the back. Now this move would have been a lot better for David if he, instead of had double wrist control, did a double wrist lock or a Kimura grip, where David should have weaved his arm over the top and grabbed his own wrist. It's a standard Kimura grip, but he still made it happen. David had a size and strength advantage on Gilbert. It was like 30 pounds or so, and it really showed here. But at the same time, Gilbert made a big mistake way back over here. when I think I mentioned this during one of Jason's matches. Gilbert has got the hands on the hips, but he's just staying right there. He's not bucking. He's not hip bumping. He's not framing with it. He's just keeping the hands in the hip. He's not on his side either. If this is a Zahabi frame, he should be on his side, crunching, pushing the knee away. And he's not doing that. He's just on his back. And that's going to give his opponent space. Look, he goes to his frame. Good. But you can't stay here because look at that. They're going to take this underhook right there. And that's what happened. That was the beginning of the end. He just rode it all the way through. And then right here, that arm was just isolated. And it was close. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see him get hurt. I think he could have survived through it. But I just didn't want to take any chances. It was getting close. It was isolated. It was almost behind him. And I thought that was an appropriate time to call it. Okay, last 2 matches. I think that, yeah, there's 2 matches left. We have Roberto versus Jason. Roberto pulls guard, and Jason goes back to his heavy knee slice. He steps over for the spinning armbar again. Ends up in a deep half guard. Single leg for Rob. Rotates to dogfight and takes his partner down. Excellent takedown. Lockdown for Jason. Rob is turning away, doing a twister pass. He's trying to free his knee. Jason's able to wiggle out. He hips up, and he's unable to hit the hip switch. He's still in twister side control. Resetting. Back to center. Twister side control. Jason's doing a good job of framing and hipping out, but it's just not enough. Rob has a lot of weight, a lot of size on him, and he's just staying heavy. He's very strong on top here, and he's just taking his time. Roberto's got the arm trapped on that side. He's got the wrist control. He's got the Kimura grip, and boom, that's it. Finish. Excellent match. Good job, Roberto. Let's see here. Where was the point of no return? So in twister side control, you got to keep your hands in. Okay, so when somebody's twister side controlling, you got to stay mummied, or you got to be like this, at least T-rexing, so you can use your forearm frames. Because if you drop your hand on twister side control or north-south, they will wrist control you and then lock that Kimura grip up, and that's exactly what happened. His arm extended, or it was at least at the belly, and then it drifted off to the side. Rob's hugging the bicep and tricep, and then he uses a 2-on-1 to pin that wrist down. That was really good. Maybe it was in, but Rob just did a good job of pushing that 2-on-1 down. That bottom wrist control is key. And then just like I mentioned before in the last match, proper way to Kimura grip, come under your partner's arm, grab your own wrist so you can emphasize a pulling motion on your partner's arm. Excellent move. All right, we are in our last match. This is a good one. We have Mauricio versus Eddie. Mauricio pulls guard. Eddie goes for the knee slice. Mauricio in a half guard. Eddie cuts his knee into the 3/4 mount. We're here in the mount. Eddie has this hard crossface over the head. He's going to a figure four lock. He's looking at it, but now he's got that elbow. He got under the elbow. He's driving the elbow up. But Mauricio's doing a good job of keeping his arms inside. Still unable to escape the mount. But what is up, Art? How's it going, buddy? Ooh. Ashigarami for Mauricio. Looked like Eddie was about to tap. Can't really tell. Mauricio's got a solid Ashi, but Eddie does a great spin move. Gets his leg free, and now he's on top. Hard knee slice. Mauricio finds his half guard again, but can't secure it. And but he's starting to creep over the backside, like 100% move. Looks for the seatbelt. He's got his hands locked together. Eddie's here in the turtle position. Mauricio rolls him through. Looks to get his hooks in. And Eddie successfully spins out. Ankle control. Eddie tries to move his legs, but ends up grabbing a leg and dropping down to a straight ankle lock instead. Looks to crank on this straight. But Mauricio is tough as nails. He does the right thing here and stands up. And he doesn't let Eddie pressure into that ankle anymore. Scramble. And Eddie goes into a turtle. Yo, thanks for the subscription. What up? Thank you very much. Thank you, Art. This is my first live podcast. So hopefully you enjoy it. Which Art are you? Because I there's a few Arts that I know, and I want to know. I feel bad. Okay, we're here inside control. And Mauricio steps over for the full mount. Eddie's doing a good job of keeping his elbows tight. He knows that you don't want to extend your arms right here. So he's keeping his arms tight. He's not giving up any space. But he tries to bust a move right here. He extends his arm. Mauricio's got this belly down armbar. It's looking close. Eddie spins out though and gets on top. Excellent escape. That was a close one. And now Eddie is on top inside control. Eddie in the mount now. Just smashing with the chest. Trying to suffocate his opponent with his with my onesie I let him borrow. Let him borrow my elephant onesie. And Mauricio recovers a half guard somewhat. Oh, okay. What's up, Art? He's Art the bear. Alright, and he's just smashing the head right here. Staying heavy. But loses position. Big mistake from Eddie. Lost position. I'm not sure why he lost position right there. From full guard, he's just keeping the posture broken. Mauricio breaks the posture free. Eddie hip bump sweeps. Hip bump sweep attempt. Swivels to an armbar, but it's just too shallow. It's not there. And Mauricio steps over now for side control. Ooh, strong headlock. You do, as I said before, you do not want Mauricio cranking on your head. He's got a death squeeze. He's got 30 seconds left. He's just gotta wait it out, get into overtime. He still can't really get out. His head is safe, but he can't get his shoulder and his head free. Very exciting match. Let's see. We are in overtime, so now we get to start in one of the finishing positions. We're in the spider web. Start with the armbar position. Ooh, Eddie goes for a corkscrew, but Mauricio catches it, unable to rotate, and finishes the armbar. Excellent armbar finish. Nice attempt by Eddie to try and escape with a corkscrew, but just not enough spin. Mauricio was too tight, and now we are in the rebuttal. So now Eddie has to get a submission in less than 12 seconds, I believe, or else Mauricio wins. Ankles are crossed in front. Oh, Mauricio turns, clears his elbow, and boom, that's it. Excellent match. Okay, quick breakdown of this one. Let's start from the beginning. We're here, we're standing. Mauricio goes for the guard pull. A lot of positional change, a lot of flip-flopping. We're in the mount. This was nice. Oh, never mind. Not that part. But right here, I believe Mauricio is able to shrimp, throw his leg over the top, and now he's got Ashigarami. Right here, Mauricio's trying to work the straight ankle lock, but he just doesn't have the right grip. His feet aren't in the perfect spot, and Eddie's able to scramble out. Eddie goes for his own straight ankle lock, same thing. He's not able to keep Mauricio down, and Mauricio ends up being able to stand up. Good leg lock defense for both of them. Just a lot of flip-flopping. This was a key moment. Eddie goes for the escape. He pushes off. Again, I don't recommend you framing against the shoulders in the mount, or else, as you can see right here, boom, Mauricio steps over, throws the arm over, goes for the armbar, has this perfect positioning, but doesn't control the hand. As you can see right here, I highly recommend people to have at least one hand securing the hand. Okay, so Mauricio is barely controlling the wrist. As you can see, his fingers aren't even locked. You need to grab the wrist, or if anything, the best thing to do would be grabbing the actual hand with your C grip, keeping it tight to your chest, and then extending it to the elbow. But he doesn't have that grip. Eddie's able to rotate his thumb inward, and then he steps over and gets on top. Passes the guard himself. He was on top here. Somehow he just got pushed off. From here, Mauricio passes, gets a head and arm control, and Mauricio locks his head and arm. I would highly recommend, this was a great spot for Mauricio to work the arm triangle. I don't want to get into it too much, but basically Mauricio could slide his body downward to drop his head to the mat behind the arm. And if you do jiu-jitsu, you know what I'm talking about. So that arm triangle is right there. If you just adjust it a little bit, I think that could have been a game ender right there. But he just elected to stay on top and just squeeze the headlock, which was fine. He ended up winning the overtime. Let's watch this. Let's see how the arm separates. I'm not sure. So it was Eddie's doing. Eddie purposely let go of the arm to go for the corkscrew. The issue is he just wasn't able to elevate his near shoulder enough. When you corkscrew, you also need to elevate your elbow. That's something I've been going over lately. When you're corkscrewing, you need to, so if somebody's arm barring this arm, you have to bring your elbow up towards your head like this, and you need to pull so your elbow is elevated high, like towards the sky if you're laying down. You can't have your arm extended straight, flush to your opponent's chest. It's going to be hard to corkscrew. As well as, this is not bad, but the arm is too straight. The shoulder is too locked. Mauricio is doing a perfect job of clamping down on the far shoulder. The near shoulder is clamped as well, and there's just no escape out of that one. Maybe he could have twisted his hips a little bit more, but really he needed to elevate his elbow, free his hand, and yeah, that was a wrap. That was excellent. It was just so tight. And then here, how was Mauricio able to escape this? Eddie had a good body triangle. So, in my opinion, the seatbelt does two things. The seatbelt stops him from turning this way, like going belly down, with the overside. You need to use your overside arm to pull your partner's shoulder. Same thing with the underside. Mauricio cannot go this way because of the underhook on the shoulder, on the chest. What I don't think happened enough was Eddie did not have sufficient pressure with both of his arms. He needs to pull down here, he needs to pull up here, and then you need to pull both of your hands tight to the chest in the center. You need to like stab your partner with your hands, pulling their chest tight. Because if you don't, they could swivel their shoulders. And all Mauricio had to do was just rotate a little bit. And check this out. A big reason why he was able to turn so easily is Eddie changed from the underhook. See Eddie's left hand? He changed to the over. Boom. Right there. And that's when you change to the over. Let's see. Boom. Now there's nothing stopping Mauricio from turning this direction. Mauricio can just turn that way because his shoulder is not being controlled. Something Eddie still could have done, like he had this arm in a decent choking position. Eddie should have followed through. Eddie should have, as Mauricio was rotating, Eddie also had to rotate in order to compensate. It didn't happen. And that's why Mauricio was able to turn. And that's it. Escape. When somebody is escaping your back control, you can't just squeeze. I see it all the time, even good guys. If someone's escaping your back control, you got to dive yourself under. You have to roll with them. You have to follow. You can't just stay stagnant and just squeeze. Oh, I'm just going to hang on for 2 more seconds. No, you can follow him and finish the fight. You can follow him and get more ride time. You can follow him and transition to the truck or transition to other back control. Get your body triangle back. But you can't just squeeze. It's only going to last so long. That's pretty much it. That's the end of all of the matches, I believe. Yeah, that's all of them. So, let's see here. Boom. Different overlay. Thank you guys for checking me out. If you're watching, I appreciate you. I'm going to do more of these. We're going to do a in-house tournament every few weeks. Hopefully every 3 weeks, sometimes a month, but I think every 3 weeks is good. Try and get these guys as much practice, as much experience as they can get. And it's really great for me to do these. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative, And if you have any questions, ask me now. I'm gonna get going in a minute. Lastly, I just talk about the competitors and the competition as a whole. Um, I think a lot of them did really great, and the ones that didn't do so great, I think it was still great that they stepped up. They just to step up and compete is a big feat in itself. Even if you don't do well, even if you don't have a lot of experience, I highly recommend you to compete. If you're rolling in the gym, you should compete. If you're injury free, you should compete. If you have the time, if you can make the time, then you should compete. You want to get the competition experience in. I hear a lot of guys are like, "Oh, when can I start doing the competition class, or when can I start competing in outside tournaments?" And I said earlier yesterday, I think I want to see you dominate these in-house competitions. I want to see you do so well here that I feel bad putting you against other people because you're doing so well. I want you to be so comfortable competing in these in-house tournaments. That way, when you go to the big show, the local tournaments, that you're not going to get stage fright, that you're not going to let the anxiety get to you. So if you're still, you know, a beginner and you've only done a couple in-house tournaments, keep hammering at those. We're going to put them on every 3 weeks. Take advantage. Do every single one that you can, and I promise that will pay off. Um, yes, they're competitions, but they're learning experiences. They're ways for you to get better, and that's how you're going to get better is by competing, not just coming to practice. Coming to practice is the most important, but if you want to compete at the big stage, you got to practice competing on the small stage. Um, let's see. I think that's pretty much it. I'm super proud of all these guys. I said it before, but these guys are all beginners, and they all have big balls. Take some big balls to step up and compete in a onesie. A lot of people backed out last minute. They were scared of competing in a onesie, and these guys stepped up to the plate. They didn't care what they were wearing or what their opponent was wearing. They went out there and performed, and I'm just super proud of them for that. I'm super excited to see how they do in the coming weeks. And if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to ask me at Open Mat, and I'll definitely go over all of this stuff with you. Take some notes on your matches, and learn from it. Whether you lost, whether you won, there's always something to learn. Even from some of my wins, they weren't perfect wins. If you didn't tap them in 1 second, then there's something to learn. So take every experience as a learning opportunity and grow from it. That's pretty much it. Art has a question. How do you get your hair to look so nice? Jerry, Coach Vinny Fam's cousin, does my hair, and he's pretty good. You like it? It's all right. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. How do I end this thing? Not sure yet. Okay, figured it out. Peace, and hopefully my stream will get better, and it'll look better and just like more official, and I don't know. Hopefully it keeps evolving, just like everything else.